Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do the roll call. Alderman Freeze, absent. Alderman Dean. Present. Alderman Derek Turner.
Here.
Alderman Bill.
Here.
Alderman Lewis.
Here.
All right. I get a motion to approve June 2nd, 2026 meeting minutes, please.
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Before we make a motion to approve tonight's agenda, I want to make an amendment. I need a motion to amend resolution number 2026-30, a resolution authorizing the purchase of an 84-inch diameter metal culvert for East Lloyd Martin Road. I want to amend it for the first and second read.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You need roll call?
Hang on one second.
Okay.
For one thing, it's under resolutions, it
Resolutions.
only requires one read,
Okay.
so you didn't need to make that motion.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to special items, we have Kyle Landry from Bartlett West with an update for wastewater treatment.
Good evening, everybody. I've got Steve McKay with me as well. We'll start with just an overall update on the plant, so I'll have Steve get into that.
Sure.
We can go probably to the next.
Do you want this?
Yeah, wouldn't hurt.
We'll give you the clicker.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Where does it need to aim it? If it works.
I don't know. It's not working.
I don't know if it's dead or what.
I don't know. It worked last. I don't know. I can click it for you. You
Okay,
just tell me
yeah.
click.
Yeah, sounds good. You can probably go to the next one.
Just an update on the overall construction of the wastewater treatment plant at this time. The Arrowmont Basin, that's the largest structure at the treatment plant. We were really basically ready to put diffusers on. We drained the tanks down to put them on when we had the storm incident, but we'll move on beyond that, talk about that in a minute. All the major concrete structures have been completed on this project. Concrete's been poured, handrail up on the structures. The weir splitter, we're just now finishing it up. We got most of the gates already installed in it. It's really, that says 75, it's probably 90% as of today. Electrical panels, about 75%. We're moving right along with that. The influent diversion structure, it is at about 80, but there's really not a lot of work left to do on that. EQ pump station, basically the pumps and the valve vault is pretty well complete at this time. And the phase 1 bio equipment installation, that's the only thing we have to do in that structure is to put some drops and some aeration and then a little bit of piping going to phase 1. The control building, it's about 80% complete. We've got most of the electrical panels installed in that structure at this time. This we can probably go on. Right now we're looking at probably having 3 lines to put in, and they're not very long lines as far as piping in the ground. So we're really close on that. We're looking at probably 3 to 4 weeks to have all the site work, everything pretty well completed on the project, except for the Arrowmont structure, which we do have the damage on from the storm.
So we can go to the next one.
So as far as the equipment, we did the procurement of the equipment early in order to fast track this project. All the major equipment's on site at this time. There's no major equipment that we don't have on site, and most of it's in place. We actually poured the generator pad here just 3 or 4 days ago, and as soon as it reaches strength, we'll set the generators on it, but most everything else is already in place. So we're not waiting on any major equipment at this time.
Go to the next one. Yep, here's some just pictures and videos. There's just a few pictures we can talk through, and then there is a drone overview video that we can watch and kind of talk through.
So that's the main aeromod treatment structure that you see there is phase 2 that we constructed. Right now, we built it with effluent water. That's why it's got some algae in it. But we'll be getting rid of that with a chemical here pretty quickly. You can see the addition to the controls building off to the right of the main building there. That's our all of our controls for the entire system is located in that building.
You can see the new generators are sitting over here right now. Those will be installed somewhere in this vicinity. Here pretty soon.
So they're already starting on some final grading. The ditch along on the highway side of the access road you see there is completed at this time. It wasn't in that picture, but that's all completed all the way out. So it looks a little bit different from when that was taken. That gives you a little better shot of the control building addition there and the other end of the system. Well, we can go into this a little bit. You can see where the T is in the wall. That's the wall that we received damage from. Basically, we'll go into that. When we had the storm, we had 4.5 inches of rain on site. 4.5 inches of rain really didn't cause the issue. The issue was caused by the creek backing up and us getting water from the rest of the site into the excavation. It floated the opposite ends up there about 13, 16 inches up. But you can see how the wall is pushed out. We'll be replacing that wall, and we have a slide that basically going to show you that.
I think this is the last one.
So you can see the cracks at the angle there.
Yeah, I can point to those. So you can kind of see them visually right here, running diagonally. And that's from this wall is pushing this way, and that's what caused the cracking there. And you can kind of see this wall is bowed a little bit as well.
So that wall is 18 foot tall, and the thickness of it's 18 inches. It's got a lot of reinforcing in it, so there's a lot of power with this water to be able to have some cracks like that. The other picture there might show us.
This is our video.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Let's see, hopefully this loads pretty quick. It's about 1.5 minutes. Maybe you can blow that up. There we go.
You can see them doing the grading work around the plant there, and that's all. Where the crane is, that's the new EQ lift station, and then you see the L-shaped piping going to the EQ valve vault. That's all complete.
And then the weir splitter. Can't remember if he zooms in on this, but that's our new splitter structure. So that'll send water both this way and that way proportionally. That's our biological phosphorus removal tank for the phase 1 system. And then you can see a couple other bolts here. There's a meter bolt right there, and there's one right there as well.
They weren't even completed with the rear splitter structure in this video, but it's all the walls are done and most of the gates are in at this time.
I think we took this video on June 25th, so it is a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
Have a date. We can go to the next one. So here, we'll give just an overview and happy to answer any questions as well of the issues. And I'm sure everybody's seen the articles and stuff in the newspaper. We wanted to come tonight just to inform everybody, and of course, answer any questions. So we had the storm on June 7th. Obviously some unprecedented rainfall. There's, I think Highway 63 actually got underwater. There's a lot of other damage around town, and it caused damage at the treatment plant as well. So we kind of just have a timeline here of what happened. So rainfall and flooding, it caused the elevated groundwater in the excavation of the tank, and it caused buoyancy, which lifted up that one corner of the tank. Because at the time we had the tanks empty because we were working in the tanks to get the diffusers and stuff installed. So whenever that happened, we immediately got out there. We brought in additional dewatering pumps. We had dewatering pumps set up, but they got overwhelmed, and started pumping that water from the outside to the inside to add weight to the tanks to start getting them to settle back down. We had survey crews go out the 10th, the 12th, 19th, 24th, and 26th. And what we were doing with that is we were taking measurements across the top of the tank just to see where, how high up did it lift and was it settling back down. And the last 2 dates that we shot, the tank had stopped moving completely and it settled back to about the position that it was in originally. So we had our structural team come out and also a third-party structural engineer come out on the 17th, basically just to look at the damage and see, it was obvious that one wall section we had damage in. But they looked over the entire tank as well and had sounding hammers and checked for other damage. And at this time, we don't foresee any other damage in the rest of the tanks. Now, one thing I'll add is, since we have the tanks full of water right now, whenever we go to make the repair and drain the tanks back down, structural teams will come back and do an internal inspection of the entire tank. So at where the wall meets the foundation, they'll inspect that really well. And then the rest of the walls from the inside, just to make sure there's no other damage. And we'll keep you up to date on that, but it's gonna be, we'll have to get the tanks drained down, and that's a process. So we've been meeting over the past couple of weeks just to develop our remediation plan. And we can talk through it on the next slide here in a second, but essentially what we'll have to do is that one wall segment that has damage, we're not gonna be able to save that segment, so we'll have to get it cut out and then re-pour it back to the dimensions and the spot that it's supposed to be in. And so we'll have to cut it out, the rebar will be dialed back into the other concrete that's not damaged, and then the wall will be poured back in place. That'll also involve, there is some piping in the tank that will have to be removed when we do that repair work and then replace. Railing will have to be reset. And then there's some additional piping, like the air piping, that raised up a little bit, so we'll do all the proper air testing and resetting of that and make sure that it passes all the leakage tests as part of the repair work.
So what's the total cost of all the repair work?
We're still getting costs, so we're gonna have our remediation plan done this week, and then we'll get with our subcontractors. So Martin General Contracting, they're responsible for the structure, so we'll have to get with them and get pricing for actually repouring. And then there's auxiliary costs as well for all the other stuff that happened. So we're in the process of getting that. I have a timeline, I think, on the next slide that kind of goes through next steps. It's the one after this, but so this shows kind of conceptually where we'll have to make the cuts in the wall and get it re-poured back. So that corner where they come together as a T, that corner will be cut out, and then we'll dial back into that. And then on the other side, that corner is good, so we'll be able to save that one and dial back in that way. And then on the far right side, we'll have to cut out that corner as well and re-pour that. You can go to the next one. Yep. So kind of where we're at now this week, we actually met, what was that, yesterday? Yeah, we met yesterday with a third-party engineer and then our structural engineer and went through the remediation plan. We're finalizing that this week. It'll be ready on Monday, then we'll send that out to our subcontractors to gather the pricing, like you mentioned, Bryce. And then we'll also run that through our builder's risk insurance provider. So we had an adjuster come out to site, I think it was the 17th of June, and they took a look at it. And builder's risk, it's a policy and it protects the city from exactly what happened. This is considered an act of God, and so that's why that builder's risk insurance is there. And they've been good to work with, and it looks like everything's going to be covered. So we'll have to get pricing to them.
Answered my next question before I asked. I was gonna ask, because I had heard some people say we may have to pay it out of contingency, and I'm like, isn't this what insurance is for?
Yes.
So, perfect.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, once we get through all that, we hope to move through that rather quickly. Then we'll start implementing the remediation plan. So first step will be, Steve mentioned before, we'll have to add some chemical to those tanks to get the algae down, and then we'll start pumping those tanks down. Once that's all done, we'll start on that structural repair work. At this time, we've been asked this question by a lot of people, but you know, how long did this delay us? It's hard to tell right now because we have to get into it and there's a lot of steps that we have to take, but we're kind of guesstimating right now about 2 months, because and the longest time frame in there is when we go and pour back this concrete, we have to let that concrete reach its cure strength, which takes 21 to 28 days. So we'll have to wait for that before we can really get in there and start adding water back in, and then get everything up in operation. So after we repair the wall, the tanks will all be tested for leakage again, just like they were initially, and if there's anything else, we'll address that as well. As far as the rest of the project goes, work is continuing just as it was before, so the electrician is out there working and making a lot of good progress, so he'll keep going. And then we're pretty far along on the rest of it, and I think by the time that concrete tank is ready, the rest of the project should be pretty much done. So that'll be what we're waiting on, and then once it's done, we'll be able to get everything up and running and tested and all that good stuff. Before we move on to this is a separate deal that we've been helping the city with, but does anybody have any questions on the structural issues?
The portion of the wall that failed, how old was it? How long had it been poured? Had it met its full strength?
Yeah.
Already.
It was probably in place for what, 4 months or so, 3-4 months, something like that.
Was this just a fluke or?
Yeah, it was just perfect storm almost, because I think just a week or two before we had those tanks full because we were doing water testing on them, and we had to drain them back down to get the diffusers in and finish up the work, and we got that crazy storm while the tanks were empty, and yeah, it's just
Probably a week away from
yeah.
not having an issue like this.
Why don't houses with basements do the same thing?
Why don't they?
Yeah,
I mean, they can in some cases, but yeah, it's just,
So we've got pictures that the ground's rutted probably 12, 14 inches, and some spots where the area water, the backwater from the creek and that, it just got in the excavation. 4.5 inches of rains didn't really get us. It was the flooding that got us.
Yeah, I think it all just fell so quickly.
Yeah, all at once.
I mean, the base of the structure itself weighs about 1.2 million pounds. That's without the walls on it, so it's amazing. Power of water.
Anything else?
I have a question. You said it was covered by the builder's protects business.
Builder's risk insurance.
So was that just part of your insurance?
Yeah, on any project like this, we have policies like
Kyle.
this to protect you.
She can ask you questions afterwards.
Okay. Okay, moving on to the headworks pump replacement. So this is not part of the wastewater treatment plant upgrade, but what happened here was the city has a headwork system. There's 2 screw pumps that lift water up into the plant, and they look just like a screw. So those things rotate. And what happened was there's bearings on both the upper and lower side. And Kevin, did both of the lower bearings fail? Yeah. So essentially what happened is when those bearings failed, the pumps are no longer working. So there's nothing to push water into the plant. And so whenever that happened, Kevin and his crew, they had to get temporary pumps out there to keep water flowing through the plant. And we prepared a present worth analysis, and we looked at 2 different options. One, replacing the pumps with screws, similar to what was in there now, and then submersible pumps. And through that analysis, it was decided that we needed to move forward with the submersible pumps. Capital cost was a lot cheaper, and then we can also get those in a lot quicker, because I think every month that goes by, you're paying a rental fee on the temporary pumps, so we want to try to address this as soon as possible. So we've got a system identified. Kevin, you actually put out a RFP for bids for that equipment earlier this week to get that going. I think the due date on those is the 24th.
24th.
So we'll have final pricing on the 24th. So you'll buy the equipment. That's the first step, because it takes time to manufacture that equipment and get it to site. So we wanted to expedite that. And then we'll put out a separate package for installation bids. And the goal is to have that installation package go out pretty much around the time that you get that equipment pricing in. And then the other thing too with, I think we put the installation package out right after equipment, because then we'll know exactly what equipment will go in, and we'll be able to detail those plans and specs as we need to. So obviously moving through as quickly as we can on that to get you guys back up and running in a permanent situation. Any questions on that? Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, sir.
Have a good night.
Thank you, guys. Moving on to appointments to boards and commissions, appointment of Tony Ash to Ward 1. I know Tony Ash is here tonight, so I was gonna ask him to come to the podium, introduce himself to the board, and if you guys have any questions, you can ask him, and then we'll take our vote. Go ahead. Name, address,
Okay,
and
Tony
then
Ash,
tell us a little about yourself.
Lloyd Martin Road. Been here since 22. Wife, kids, barrage of things going on in our place, so. We prior service military and 18 years on the police department. So that's kind of a quick little snapshot of what my life is.
Any questions for Tony? Dan? All right, we'll go ahead and call the vote. Thanks, Tony.
Yeah.
All right, call the vote. Alderman Dean? Aye. Alderman Turner?
No.
Alderman Bill?
No.
Alderman Lewis? Aye. So with that being
You need 3
3, so it fails.
failed.
All right, thank you. All right, scheduled public comments, we have none. Caitlin, that show? All right,
I put an email
down there for you.
Yeah, I saw that. Public hearing, we have none. Introduction is first reading, Council Bill number 2026-29, an ordinance to amend Chapter 2 as pertains to meeting and procedures. Staff report, please.
Yes, thank you very much. What we had done is we normally have these meetings at 7, and so we had talked about it before about a different time, and I think the consensus of the board was we wanted to move that to 6:30. That moves everything along a little quicker and gets the staff out here a little earlier.
Any questions for staff? Can I get a motion to approve Council Bill number 2026-29, an ordinance to amend Chapter 2 as pertains to meetings and procedures?
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
Alderman Dean?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Bill?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
And it's interesting, you would have to vote on such a simple thing like that to change the ordinance, but our city ordinances say that it starts at 7, so that's why we had to change the ordinance.
Moving on, Council Bill number 2026-30, an ordinance of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Ashland, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to sign a MPUA mutual aid agreement. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. If you've had time to read over the discussion, I'll just expand on it. So essentially, the MPUA, the Missouri Public Utility Alliance, has formed a mutual aid organization to lay out basically the legal framework to assist emergency assistance or mutual aid locally and statewide. So again, this ordinance is to allow the city to, the ordinance to allow us to enter this agreement. The agreement is basically for disasters, like flooding, ice storms, tornadoes, things of that nature, where local utilities just completely get overwhelmed and they want to ask for assistance from communities around. And it'll lay out the framework for that, and how that would work is if, for instance, we had an ice storm and we had trees down all over the street, I could call MPUA, they send the word out to the representatives. Likewise, I would be the representative here in Ashland, and they would basically queue everyone, member cities, to see if it's voluntary, right? So you have to come, obviously, they can't compel us, vice versa, they can't compel the city of Ashland to go help Columbia. But if you're willing and able, and you're in a situation where you can help, then all that framework is laid out. There's no time dealing with insurance and everything else. So how it works is, in the event of a call, for assistance, response is voluntary, but the assisting utility gets reimbursed by the community receiving the assistance. So if we burn a ton of diesel, we get reimbursed for that. Same with the labor. It's not a charity. Yeah, there'll be an accounting for it at the end of the day after the event is over with. This organization has been around since 2001. It has 120 statewide members broken up into 5 regions. Thus far, 70 members have responded to assist. 70 member cities have responded to calls for help throughout its history. There's a long list here. I'll just read some that are kind of in our area. So member cities are California, Centralia, Columbia, Holt Summit, Kingdom City, Lebanon, Macon, Moberly, Montgomery City, Rolla, Springfield. So we're kind of late to the party, honestly. I just learned about this a few months ago, and like, why aren't we in this? So here we are. I think it's a win-win for the city. It's good insurance, and I approve. Is there any questions on this mutual aid agreement?
I've been in cities where we've done this and where we've had to use that. And what's really good about it is because you're not waiting to get something from the federal government or from another state. You got a town right next door who sends something to help you right away, and we do the same thing for them. And you get help right away, and it really works very well.
Cool. All right. Can I get a motion approving Council Bill number 2026-30, an ordinance of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Ashland, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to sign an MPUA mutual aid agreement?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Dean.
Aye.
Alderman Bill.
Aye.
Alderman Lewis.
Aye.
Council Bill number 2026-31, an ordinance of the city of Ashland, Missouri, amending the city code regarding no parking or parking on Main Street. Staff report, please.
Thank you again, Mayor.
Go ahead.
So, we've heard from the public, and myself have also witnessed, at a specific point south of Broadway, as detailed in the simple map I made up in the attachment. South Main Street is too narrow to allow parking on both sides of the street. Current parking on both sides of the street has created traffic congestion and an unsafe condition whereby north and southbound traffic sort of meet in the middle. When cars are parked on both sides of that street, you must swerve into the center strike lane, which is asking for a head-on collision. And there's just not enough room. And then within state statutes, that road isn't actually wide enough to even park on both sides. So it's kind of a moot point, but we're gonna go through this process and create the ordinance. Staff recommends restricting parking beginning on the east side of South Main Street, just south of Broadway, and prohibiting all other parking on South Main Street, starting at the boundary of 101 and 105 South Main Street on the west side of the street, and starting at the southern property line of 104 South Main Street on the east side of the street. Again, a lot of words, but the best thing to do is kind of consult your map. No street parking. Our proposal is no street parking shall be permissible from those points south to the end of South Main Street at Henry Clay. I don't believe we'll have to put signage any further than Johnson. Anyone who's ever driven it knows there's no room to park anywhere south of Johnson. It won't be necessary to sign the entire length of the road. Short-term impact financially is about $300 for signage and posts. And myself and the police department, we both recommend the approval of an ordinance if necessary, and I believe that is the case. There was some discussion whether an ordinance was necessary or not, but either way. Approval of an ordinance regulating parking on South Main Street as detailed in the map for safety and uninhibited traffic flow.
And if we could, we ask the chief to talk a little bit about the traffic out there.
Well, it's just like you said, I think everybody knows, we've been, I think, slow to move on this for various reasons, but we've had complaints on this for 3 years. And finally found the time and inclination to get rid of it, so, yeah, we recommend, I think it's, I think everybody kind of pictures what we need, and it's no parking, that's just the fact of the matter.
Yeah, and the problem with people having to move over on the other side, you know, you're just waiting for an accident to happen sometime. We're lucky that it hasn't happened so far.
What's the estimated timeline on when we can expect these signs?
We have them in stock, so we'll get those up in a week.
Tomorrow. I will say, I will ask you to remove one sign for me. I've had complaints that there's no parking at City Hall. We have told people at the Dandelion they can park over here during their events, but there's a sign right here saying no parking if you are not seeing the library, MU Health Center, YMCA, stuff like that.
Oh.
So just remove that sign.
Do that.
Yeah. That sign is so old, it's outdated. All right, so can I get a motion to approve Council Bill number 2026-31, an ordinance of the city of Ashland, Missouri, amending the city code regarding parking on Main Street?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Dean?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Bill?
Aye.
Moving on to old business, we have none. Moving on to new business, resolution number 2026-270, resolution authorizing the purchase of the GIS satellite receiver equipment. Staff report, please.
Just talk with me again. The City Geographic Information System, or GIS system, is basically an electronic map that's used to catalog and store information on city infrastructure and assets like stormwater, sewer system, water valves, and hydrants. The system is ever changing and edits need to be made whenever new development or parcel is added. This proposal This proposed equipment will allow staff to make changes to add, delete, and move these assets accurately within our maps, within a 1 foot accuracy on GIS. The equipment includes simply a GPS receiver, a carbon fiber mounting pole, a battery pack, and an iPad bracket. And we've got iPads hanging around. Having the in-house ability to accurately add GIS assets and their attributes is fundamental infrastructure management. This equipment is the first step of that. This purchase is funded by a three-way split from the streets, water, and sewer departments, since we'll be categorizing all those assets. So everyone's got skin in the game. There is an annual data subscription fee of $1,435. That basically allows us to ride on that network of satellites, which gives us it's called a category 30 accuracy. And that annual subscription would also be split across all three departments in Public Works as well. One note, this quote is territory protected, so you cannot get Trimble, that's the name of the equipment, it's Trimble equipment, outside of this territory. So if I call Florida, they'll go talk to your local rep. So that's why only one quote is available and one quote is only possible. I recommend this purchase. Is there any questions?
Any questions for staff? All right. Can I get a motion to approve resolution number 2026-27, a resolution authorizing the purchase of a GIS satellite receiver equipment?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Dean?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
And Alderman Bill.
Aye.
Resolution number 2026-28, a resolution authorizing the police chief to purchase 2 Dodge Police Pursuit Durangos.
Thank you. So this is, we budgeted this in this year's budget, and we saw prices from a pile of car dealers in the state and wound up with a dealer that still had 2 new 2025s on the lot. So we'll get a good price on those. We'll still get full warranty. This represents both kind of a normal, what would have been a normal fleet turnover, except we lost a car this year to a catastrophic engine failure. And also in this year's budget, we budgeted for an additional police officer position. And so we need 1 more vehicle for that. So we're going from a fleet of 10 vehicles to 11 vehicles with this. And we lost the one that we've already sold, basically as scrap. And then the other one is going to be turned into a citywide shared pool vehicle instead of selling them at last. We've got 1 Ford Explorer that will strip police gear out of and make it available for every city department to have to run errands, go to training, go to meetings, that sort of thing. Because people currently are using personal vehicles to do that kind of stuff. So,
I still think you should leave the lights and sirens on it.
well, Darla and Leslie be going to Sam's with it and maybe speed up their turnaround time. Yeah.
Just change the red and blues to ambers and let them have it.
Let them have that. That's right.
Can we use that vehicle if it's a full vehicle? Just ask if the lights are on it.
All right, any other questions? All right, can I get a motion to approve resolution number 2026-28, a resolution authorizing the police chief to purchase 2 Dodge Durangos?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Dean?
Aye.
Alderman Bill?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 2026-29, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement, an engineering service contract with Great River Engineering for engineering services related to the City of Ashland, Missouri TAP grant sidewalk pedestrian crossing project. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, this is for the Liberty Lane TAP grant project. What this is an agreement to enter into a pre-approved contract with a pre-approved MoDOT inspector. What basically the city does is the MoDOT directs us to go to their menu of pre-approved TAP inspection services. I went through, queued about 3 different services here locally, and basically landed at Great Rivers Engineering. So this MoDOT requires the city to select a construction inspection services provider for the forthcoming TAP project. GRE again was selected to perform such services. This resolution is for the approval to enter into a contractual agreement with GRE or Great River Engineering. The MoDOT predetermined fee, again, set by MoDOT for this service is fixed at $7,720.04 with a not to exceed amount of $62,386.29. Again, all of that is set in stone by MoDOT. So,
And if I could interrupt though for just a minute, we have Mr. Ryan Boyce here from Great River Engineering. In case you have any questions, we wanted to introduce him to you, and he's available to answer any questions you might have as well.
yeah, for the TAP grant at large, doesn't have to be just the contractual agreement tendering the services, but Brian is here. If there's any questions about the Liberty Lane TAP project, he'll be the point man.
If I may, Mayor and council members, Brian Boyce, I live here in Ashland. My wife's born and raised here. We have an office here in Ashland, so we're local, so we'll be available. This is a daily inspection on this project. It was designed by another consulting firm, but I feel like we'll be able to get this thing across the finish line. Everything that happens, I'll work with Kevin on daily, but just wanted to introduce myself. We have an office here. We also have another office, our shop area, which is up next to Jones Power Sports. That's where we kind of house our equipment and everything. So just wanted to let you know I'm local, not like I'm coming from another city or anything. I've personally been here for 30 years, but my wife's born and raised here, so.
The school district greatly appreciates you.
Yes, it's gonna be a great improvement for that subdivision, it really is, I'm looking forward to that. I got a lot of friends that live there, a lot of friends that have children that can't currently walk to school, so.
It's been a long time coming.
It's been a very long time coming.
And the great advantage is that you've got an 80-20 split, so you don't want to turn that down that $400,000 from the state.
Yeah. MoDOT's covering 80% of the cost of this.
As someone who lives in Liberty Landing South, what's the timeline on this? And I'm talking about in hours, not weeks.
So, we are actually, Darla is putting this back out to bid for contractors to submit bids. The last bid, we only received 2 bids. But due to the bid opening here not coinciding with what MoDOT had posted, they're requiring us to do it again. That'll be out for 21 days. After the bid comes back, we'll have to do a bid opening here at the council chambers. Once we have the bid opening, then our construction team will reach out to the contractor, set up a pre-construction meeting, and decide when that project is going to start. Once the project starts, we are putting in the bid documents that it's a 90-day project. The original contract stated 277 days. There's no reason why this project should take 277 days. After reviewing the plans, I do believe the contractor completed in 90 days. We wrote our contract for 90 days of construction inspection based on those job plans, based on every aspect of them, and see no reason why that can't be done. Now, there could be some weather delays, and we are utilizing calendar days. So in other TAP projects, we're currently running about 20 throughout the state. We'll have contractors request an extension of days based on days that they couldn't work because of rain. Of course, as you know, we've had a lot of rain throughout the state here recently, and we've had our contractors request those. You do not have to grant them. But, in order to work well with the contractor, it's kind of hard to have them go out and pour concrete when it's 4 inches of rain in an hour, so.
So just timeline wise, then probably done for spring semester at schools, but probably not fall semester.
I would love to see that, but it's gonna depend on contractor availability. We have a completion date of no later than March the 26th of 2027. These contractors, due to their schedule, could say, we wanna build this and starting in January. We're hoping that they'll get to it immediately. But, due to MoDOT's regulations, because they're footing 80% of the bill, they're required to give them a certain date, that it has to be at the drop dead date, that they want to get it off their books.
So if the bid is in on 21 days, we select the contractor, can they not start like the next month, or
It depends on whether
they have availability?
they have availability. We can start at any time.
Okay.
We're available now. But it'll be up, if the contractor with the low bid, which we have to go with the low bid, that's another MoDOT rule. If they're on MoDOT's approved list and they're low bidder, you have to go with them. They have to have the project completed no later than March the 26th of 2027. It's up to them on their availability of when they could start, but we're gonna hold them to the day they start, they've got 90 days to complete it.
Okay.
Pouring concrete in January sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, that's the thing is, there are days in January you pour concrete, but they're limited because concrete can't be poured unless it's 35 and rising. we have to test that concrete to make sure that it reaches strength, just like Kyle was talking about earlier. We're gonna take core samples or, test samples of that, and we're gonna do compression strength on it. If it doesn't meet compression strength, they have to rip it out unless you wanna do a deduct. You know, sidewalk is not necessarily structural, so, but we do a 7-day break and a 28-day break. There are days they can do it, but I think that the previous low bidder that we had to go out and do a rebid on, I think he's pretty anxious to get started. So, as long as he submits another bid.
Yeah. All right.
So what there's not any additional actual engineering that needs to be done on this? You're
The
just,
engine-
you're inspecting the work from the previous?
So typically, a project like this would go through a consultant as design and construction. And that way, if we have a design issue, then we can go back to the ceiling engineer and say, hey, we've got a design issue here, or we've got a change order that needs to take place. We need the ceiling engineer to make the approval. In this case, TWM has bid this twice and they've washed their hands of it. They say they've done their job. They've met their contractual obligations. So at this point, it's gonna be between us. So if we have a design issue, we will come up with a solution for you, and then we'll bring it to you and let you know what it's gonna cost. I hope that doesn't happen. We do a lot of these, so if it's a minor change order, such as, you know, we need to move the sidewalk a couple inches or whatever, or we need an additional 5 cubic yards of concrete because the original engineer's estimate didn't have that, I'll work that out with Kevin, and Kevin can come to you for the approval of the money to do it.
Because one of the reasons I bring that up, it seems like I was told, you know, I've been involved since the beginning of this, that once that planning was done and they've discovered that there were so many utilities right where the sidewalk is
Correct.
gonna be, that was one of the things that really shot up the cost.
Yes.
And, you know, and when I suggested, well, moving it a few feet, the reason that they couldn't do that was because of the additional engineering costs that it would take to redesign it. So that
There would have to be
wouldn't save
additional
any money.
survey done, there would have to be additional CAD work done, so there would have been a cost associated with that. And the original engineer's estimate was much higher than what MoDOT was going to give you for funding.
Yeah.
MoDOT has agreed to give you additional funding on this, so you're up to $500,000, and if all goes well, the last bid came in considerably under that, so we should be in pretty good shape, and if we have to, we'll have some contingency money there if we're dealing with any of the design
Right.
issues. Looking at the plans, I'm hoping that we don't have that. I mean, there's enough in there for the utilities to move around that, but I'm not gonna tell you that this is not gonna be the last time that we're gonna be having a conversation about a change order or anything else, because I have never done the construction engineering for a TWM project before. I do construction engineering for GRE projects and some Bartlett and West stuff, and I've never worked with them before. Their plans look pretty good, so, but they are 4 years old. So we're gonna get through this, we're gonna do it together as residents of Ashland, we're gonna get it done.
Sounds good. Thanks, sir.
Yes.
Okay. All right, can I get a motion to approve resolution number 2026-29, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an engineering service contract with Great Rivers Engineering for engineering service related to the City of Ashland, Missouri TAP grant, sidewalk and pedestrian crossing project.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Alderman Dean?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Bill?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 2026-30, resolution authorizing the purchase of an 84-inch diameter metal culvert for East Roy Martin Road, street repair.
I wanted to preface this a little bit with you, and that is, there were 2 options that you could come back with. We could come back with this metal culvert to put in, or we could put in a concrete box culvert. And previously at some places, we put in a concrete box culvert. But the problem is, the estimate is that would be probably over $100,000. We'd have to put it into next year's budget, and then we'd have to find out where to do that. This is a gravel road, and it had a culvert in it before. The culvert is $7,000, and so the putting it in is probably about that amount or some more. So anyway, we'd be looking at somewhere, under $20,000. And so rather than bringing it back to you and say, do you want to do a box culvert or do you want to do a metal culvert? We presume that you would not want to take the bigger one, and so we'll bring it back to you to vote on the 84-inch culvert. And that way we can move the process along further rather than take another week to do that bid. If you'd like us though to talk about the concrete box culvert and look at it, we could, but we did not think that there was enthusiasm for that, and so in the interest of moving it along, we put that on today for a resolution. And it only takes one vote, that's right.
All right.
So we
Did
can
you
get
say
that
with
moved
some
forward.
amendment to that?
No, that's not us.
To just expand on, what the interim city administrator has said, the placement of the culvert is, has been approved by Christina Lubert, our stormwater engineer. So she has done the calcs. She determined that there was no need for additional capacity at this time, and she approved basically putting back in, what we had pre-existing, so, just to cover that ground.
Kevin,
So-
what's the timeline on putting it back in?
So, we're still working that, I'm still getting quotes to this day. I don't wanna give you sticker shock, but I think I can do better, so I'm not even gonna bother. I think the quote I have is too high. I reached out for another quote today, and there's, some other avenues of cooperation that might happen too, so the jury's still out. This is just for the purchase of the culvert. I'll just start in the discussion unless there's a question. So, the exceptional heavy rainfall of June 1 damaged an already compromised culvert at Eloy Martin Road, just west of Robbie Forbes Road. The corroded bottom section of the influent side of the culvert was torn upward, basically by the velocity of the flow. Restricting the flow caused the road to wash out. That water had nowhere to go, so it started going up, eroded the Class 5 road base, and basically washed the entire road out. And to this day, it's still closed since June 1st. This proposed resolution seeks the purchase of a 7-foot diameter by 42-foot long galvanized metal culvert from Metal Culverts Incorporated of Jefferson City. This culvert is available in 1 week delivery time, as it was an overrun from another job they had. Most of the other culverts were 2 to 3 weeks for delivery. And again, this culvert was approved by our stormwater consultant and is compliant with Boone County standards for culverts. So Metal Culverts was the lowest bidder at $7,491, and I recommend this approval. Back to the install, I'm gonna be come to you again when I get a bid I think is more in the ballpark shortly. Probably, well, for certain by the next meeting, for the install of this culvert, and we'll get it in as soon as we can.
Yeah, we got 3 members here in the community that are affected by this, Mr. Ash being one, Mr. Garrett's. I mean, this happened, first week of June. We wanna make sure it gets taken care of as soon as we can. Have you bothered reaching out to the county?
We have, Steve and I both have.
Okay, and their bid was too high, you thought?
Well, I don't think the
Well,
county.
the county wouldn't be, no, we didn't get a price from the county.
Yeah.
They're not an enterprise. They wouldn't charge.
And they weren't interested in doing it then?
I think what happened, we had heard that they might be willing to contribute or participate with us in installing them, but we have not gotten an answer back with them that we can bring back to you yet.
Have you talked to Chris Jennings? That's who you've been talking to?
Well, it's up to the commission.
Yeah, it has to go in front of their commission and their
It has to
board
go
to
in
be
front of
approved.
them to get approved.
Well, I think the Southern District Commissioner's been to exactly 0 meetings, and probably looks,
Well, I met with him and Kevin met with him, and he's taking it back to Kip Kendrick to get it worked on.
They have a board as well, so gotta go through the process. Any other questions about the Eloy Martin culvert?
I had one.
Yes, sir.
Is it square covered on the end or is it tapered like it was?
Sorry, sir?
Is it a tapered culvert cut off or is it square on the end?
By county statute, it has to be mitered, so yes, it will be tapered.
Okay.
Tapered.
Can I get a motion to approve resolution number 2026-30, a resolution authorizing the purchase of an 84-inch diameter metal culvert for East Lloyd Martin Road street repair?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Yeah, first and second. Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Dean?
Aye.
Alderman Bill?
Aye.
All right, moving on to reports. Mayor's report, just a few items. If you guys were not in town for the 4th of July parade, it was one of the biggest ones we've had. It was really nice. Had over 50 participants. And I want to say we had about 200 kids, if not more, out getting candy. And also about the parking at the City Hall, just a reminder that Dandelion is welcome to park there and use our parking spots. Then I had a speed hump. Chief, would you do me a favor? Over on Commerce Street, I had a lady call me about, she was inquiring about a speed hump. Said there's some speeding going on. Would you guys just double check that area and check your backlogs and see if there's any history of speeding through Commerce?
Yep.
All right, thanks, sir.
And
And then,
street was that again there?
Commerce. And then Steve, if you'll get with Kev, or not Kevin, but Darren on grass notifications, citations, make sure we're getting those out.
Yeah, yes, we will.
All right. And then, the speed hump on Kingfisher. I've been told that some children have been using it as a ramp to jump.
Because of course they do.
So we just might want to check that area out, want the e-bikes and the kids doing little Evel Knievel stunts there. And then I appreciate the information on the TAP grant, and that is all my report. And City Administrator.
Good, thank you very much, Mayor. I had 4 things for you. The first thing I wanted to talk about was a goal-setting session, a strategic planning session. And I had talked with members of the board about that before, but I wanted to make sure that we had general consensus on that before I schedule that. Because we want to make sure that everyone is on board with that. And what that would do, it has 2 great advantages to us. First of all, it lets the staff now know what priorities you want, so as we begin to make decisions on what we come back to, we know what the priorities are. And then the second thing, as we begin to think about the budget for next year, we know what we can put in there. Sometimes we bring something back to you, like one of these things you see tonight, people say, wow, why are you doing that? Well, it's because it contributes to one of your strategic goals, and we don't want to do things that don't contribute to that. So that's why we'd like to have one of those sessions. And the way it would kind of work would be probably most of a day, morning and an early afternoon, and we'd see if someone could come and we'd have a facilitator. We'd go to some offsite, like maybe to a hotel on the southern part of Columbia, which we've done before, and we'd have a continental breakfast kind of, and then have a morning where you would discuss those things. Then usually we'd break for lunch, and while you were eating lunch, then the facilitator would put together what would be his summary of what you have, so then you could discuss it and vote it, and we bring it back to you in the to the council meeting as a resolution identifying those as the goals. And you'd have some goals that would be long-term. You have some that may be 10 years, and some that may be 2 or 3, and some that would be this year. And so what the city, and that's kind of the format that has worked before, and that works very good for cities, and it gives the staff good directions. And what I would do is, if you'd like to do that, I'll contact some of the facilitators who do that, and we've used them before, and I know a number of them, and I can bring you back a proposal from one of them. So I'd recommend that we do that, unless there's some council objection to it. If not, we'll go ahead and begin to proceed with that.
Any questions? I think it's a good idea. Yeah. Agreed.
Okay, great. We'll move forward with that.
All right, thank you.
And I'll get something out to you soon, and we can talk about dates and times later, once we have a proposal back to you. And that will probably cost $2,000 or $3,000. And so where would that come from? And there's 2 things that we could do. One is you could take a little bit out of each department, and sometimes that's what a city does. We could take $500 out of each department budget to do it. Or what's happened is our city hall renovation here that we're talking about expanding out, the city council had approved through, I think, $30,000 for it. And what we've done is, as we begin to look at it, the staff and I would thank Leslie and Darren for doing it. They've come in with a number that's considerably less than that, maybe half of that, $15,000 or $20,000 when it's all done. So there'll be some money left over in that budget, and I've asked Shelley if maybe we could then do a budget amendment. We could move some of that money that would be left over from that in to pay for the strategic planning session, so it won't cost you any more money. And when those two things are put together, you'll probably still be paying less money than you had originally. I tell you that so you wouldn't be surprised when that happens.
Isn't there also a line item for board training too? That seems like some of the workshops that I've been to that have been paid for by the city.
I don't think there's that much budgeted in there.
Okay.
I didn't know that, but I'll look at that and see where there is. Okay, the second one is an issue that we had with the park board. The park board would like to have a joint meeting with the board to talk about their strategic plan. And there was some confusion about that, and some people thought that they had the whole plan disapproved, and some people thought there were only portions of it they didn't want to do. And so in order to clarify that, the park board would like to get together with you, and they and you could talk together and then find out what in that you would like to do. I know that what happened is, I think it was $8 million, and there was not a proposal that they spend $8 million. That's just a wish list. If you did everything on it, that might do it, but they would want to go through it, pick and choose the things that are most important to go, and make sure that you are all in agreement with that. And then over the coming years, that's the direction that they would go in. They wanted to get together and talk to you so that you all could agree about what that would look like, so when they bring it back to you, all in agreement with it. And so they wanted to schedule that as a joint meeting, and I said I would come back and bring that back to you. And I recommend that you do that in conjunction with good communication with everybody.
Yeah, I think the disagreement was we didn't want to spend $250,000 on more engineering plans.
Yeah, that's right. So what we need to do is find out what it is you want to do and don't do, and that would be a good thing to talk about.
No offense, Brian.
Okay.
So yes, we'll go ahead and set that meeting up.
Okay, and I'll work with everybody to find a time for that. Yeah. Okay, the third thing I want to talk about was the timeline for the selection of a new permanent city administrator. And I know that Jeff Hancock has talked to all of you about that. And I think you all have seen the schedule that, if you don't, I have a copy of it here, the timeline. It seems like it takes does everybody have a copy of that, or have you seen that? Okay. It seems like it takes a long time, but when you do a national search, and it takes time to mail out for people to come back. It takes a while to do. But the deadline on that, what we're looking at on that was October or so to get that done. And that way we can get a schedule for a permanent city administrator on that. And I want to tell you that I enjoy it very much, and I would certainly like to stay, but this June marks my 60th year of public service, and I think that's probably all man needs to serve in this business. So I'll be happy to do this for as long as you need to, but we'll get a good person in here for you.
Well, we thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And on that note, we have scheduled with that a special meeting for next Tuesday, a week from today. And that would be for Jeff Hancock to come over and go with you the exact parameters that you want to have in the advertisement. And we have that on that, and so we'll schedule that, and I wanted to let you know about that. And I was going to suggest that also I could have at the same time a facilitator who would be talking about our long-range strategic planning meeting come, and then you would have an open session for the first half of it, and he could talk to you about that and see what you want to do then. And then we go into a closed session for Jeff to talk about your permanent city administrator. And so if that works for you, we'll set that up for a week from today then. Okay, I think those are the four things that I had, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to the city attorney's
No idea or not.
We don't have anything.
Public Works Supervisor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be rolling the Public Works and Water reports together. Since we last met, the CCTV cameras were installed near the north bathrooms, and so far so good. We haven't had to make anyone famous, so working as intended. We talked about the Liberty Lane tap project, which is going out literally in a minute, that's 21 days.
21 days.
Then I'll be back in 21 days.
Good.
Open bids. Speed humps were installed on Kingfisher and on Oak Street. I did have one comment, at least from one resident on Oak Street, who would like to see them installed more mid-street rather than near the intersection of Oak and Johnson. And we have the opportunity to do that because the mill and artery project is going right through there. So in about August or early September, we're gonna have to lift that device up again. So if that was so decided, we can do that because that's gonna have to get removed from the mill and artery project.
On that same note, we had an opportunity to talk to residents down there. The one resident would like to move it. Well, if you moved it, then the resident where you move it from wouldn't like to have moved. So what the resident who wanted it moved said he would do a survey of the neighborhood. Now, I think there's only about 12 people or so. And he'll bring that back to us, and so then I think he was thinking he'd bring it back to us a petition, but he'll bring it back to us and we'll know what the neighbors think about where it should be.
The stormwater mapping GIS inventory, RFQ is forthcoming within the next few days. That is essentially the precursor or the pre-step to do a stormwater master plan for the city of Ashland. What we first have to do is create a base map that shows all the conveyances, the pipes, the structures that carry the stormwater through the city. That has to be accomplished first before we can do a stormwater master plan. So it is step one of a stormwater master plan. Again, we're organizing quotes for the installation of the culvert of Eloy Martin. And we already talked about the authorization for the culvert. The county ARPA visit sewer CIPP project was completed a few weeks back, and that is done and in the books. A new sewer service one position was filled, and we have a new hire in the pipeline, so we'll be at full staff when that individual comes into the pipeline. Here he's going through processing. And as Kyle mentioned, the bid packet for the headworks replacement, the helical pump replacement, this will be opened on the 24th of July. On the water side of the aisle, water department staff is continuing valve exercising, and he's talked about that before. That's basically proofing and ensuring the valves will operate when we need them. Basically, it's just good PM. He's keeping records on those that have been done and what he has to do further. Basically checking for leaks, checking for operation. Staff has been installing a number of water meters this month, and there's quite a few on the horizon with new construction builds going on throughout the city as well. And the water department has responded because of all the rainfall to a number of, I wouldn't call them bogus, but false water main calls. Water coming up from places that it has not come up before. It looks and acts a lot like a water main leak, but so far none of them have been water leaks, but he got several of those. It's chasing those down. That's all I have.
Thanks, sir. Any questions?
Thank you.
And then also, Mayor, at the end of, before we go into the Alderman report, at the end of your packet, then, we included some documents we brought from the MML newly elected official training session that some of us went to a couple weeks ago, and there were some good slides and good information in that, and so for information, we included that for you again in your packet.
Steve, for your record, instead of the 14th on that closed meeting,
Yes,
let's schedule that for the 13th.
pardon me?
The 13th,
The
the
13th.
Monday.
Monday, the 13th?
Yeah,
Okay, and at 6:30 then,
that's
since we
fine.
now
That's
got a
fine.
new
Yeah,
time.
that's fine.
Okay,
Alderman Turner can't make the 14th, and we want to get everybody we can there.
okay, 6:30 on the 13th.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Can we do it later in the evening on the 13th? I'm driving back from Chicago that morning.
Unless you.
sure,
sure.
Whatever works for the
7:30.
board.
Park board meeting too.
7:30 would be better for me.
You want, did you want to go back to 7, did you say, or
Well, they're saying 7:30.
7:30?
7:30?
Do the old church lock-in.
Yep, okay.
I guess the park board would be at 7 or 6, right?
They meet at 6.
So we can just let them meet first and then we'll take over.
They meet in the other room.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, Darla, did you have any same problem with that, or does that seem to work on the surface of things?
Well, she said there's a park board meeting that night,
Ah,
So,
but
but it's,
that's at 6,
it's
so.
at 6 and it'll be over with by 7.
okay,
So we'll be fine. We should be fine.
okay, yes, okay,
All right, we're going on to Board
Was
of
it
Aldermen.
7:30?
Yes. Moving on to Board of Aldermen reports. Alderman Dean.
Well, Club Car Wash is going along quite nicely over there.
Yes.
Got several houses that are in process in Ward 1 as well that are nearing completion, which is great. Got a lot of positive feedback on the recycling program, which is really awesome. And then if it's all right, I guess I'll share that Ashland Betterment Coalition notes with
Yes, sir.
everybody. So ABC had a meeting recently. I was not able to attend, but I took notes. They're very excited. I wasn't there for the parade, but it sounds like we had a phenomenal event. Lots of positive feedback on that overall. And they are currently planning for Ignite the Sky, which is July 18th, which is coming up here in about a week and a half. So it's 5 to 10 at the YMCA. They're going to have food trucks, games, all kinds of stuff. Vendor pricing is $150 per vendor, which I know at least one vendor had an issue with pricing and put it in the Facebook group. But outside of that, I think that has been considered pretty reasonable. They're working on permits, all that stuff. But that's, I think, the biggest event that we plan for each year that they plan for. Outside of that, in August, they're going to start planning for Christmas in December and everything else. So things moving along. Otherwise, that's where we're at.
All right, thanks, sir. Alderman Turner.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, one more thing. They do need volunteers, so if anybody wants to volunteer for Ignite the Sky, I think that's their biggest ask right now is anyone in the community, anyone here on the board, interested in volunteering, so.
Okay.
Let's put that in the record.
Alderman Turner.
Kevin, I was just wondering, have you heard any more from Emery Sapp and Son on the continued expansion behind Tuscaloosa?
In the Forest Park,
No, it'd be in the Southwind subdivision.
there's some discussion.
Okay,
It's not, it's being developed. I mean, I don't want to be developed, but that is happening. I mean, it's.
yeah, I know that back in April, or like in March, they came down and cut down a bunch of trees. My house happens to be affected by this, I don't care, but there's 3 or 4 houses down, there's somebody that's very upset about it. I didn't know if they were coming back here relatively soon to get these trees, because they're just laying in the creek, so.
Yeah, that's a good Darren question. I'll hit him about that tomorrow and see where they're at with that, when they're coming back. He's more in tune to that than I am, so I'll throw it to him and see if he knows.
Yeah, I just got a text, wanted an update, so that's my report.
Thanks, sir. Alderman Bill.
The Oak Street speed bump has received positive feedback, but like we talked about earlier, there's some questions as to where people want it, so hopefully they can figure that one out. And then I noticed that they mowed up by the highway, like the roundabout and all by McDonald's there, and it looks so much better because that was getting overgrown. So anything we can do to make the city look better, I always appreciate it. That's it.
And Alderman Lewis.
No report.
Thank you. All right, this time we will ask if there's any comments from the public. Please come to the podium, state your name, address. Hearing none. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.